Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple, your no shit gaming news video. That's 3 news stories in one video with zero faff. It may feel like it happened last year, but Final Fantasy VII Remake actually only came out a few months ago. However, that game was only one part of the whole remake experience and whatever new nonsense director Tetsuya Nomura stuffs in there. Speaking with Japanese magazine Famitsu, Nomura has said that details on the subsequent parts will be revealed alongside the next update, whenever and whatever the hell that'll be. As translated by Google on a blog that uploaded part of the interview, Nomura said, "I am keenly aware that I want to continue as soon as possible. I want to deliver it quickly. I saw the quality line this time. Next time I will deliver something more enjoyable than the quality of this work as soon as possible. Wait a while longer, please. I think I will be able to clarify the future policy when the next work is announced." So they are working on it and they'll have something when they announce something. Saying that they want to get to it as quickly as possible sounds great on paper, but the remake was first announced in one form or another in the early 2000s, so we could still have a long time to wait. Now, the clickbait headline that got me onto this story originally said that the number of parts will be revealed in the next update, but that's not explicitly confirmed by what Nomura has said here. It's certainly possible that that may be the case, but he didn't specifically say that, so it is just an assumption. That assumption may well prove to be correct, but it's still just an assumption. Another translation was done by Twitter user, and sorry for my pronunciation, Eitaki Mochi. We know that everyone wants the next installment quickly. We would also like to deliver it as soon as possible. Since we're able to see the line of quality from the first installment, we hope to make the next installment even better in quality that can make for an even better experience. We would get it out as soon as possible, so please wait for it. I think we can clearly convey the direction when we officially announce the next installment. This translation is pretty similar, but is barely more specific about what we can expect in the future. All this basically means whenever the next part is announced, which we still have no idea about, they will explain more about the future of the remake. Altogether, this is a bit of a non-answer to the question about the future, but barely anything is going on this week, so I'm really scraping for stuff to talk about here. That is, of course, apart from all the horrific stuff that's currently going on at Ubisoft right now, but don't worry, I'm going to get to it. Nomura's answer is even more of a non-answer given the nature of the first part of the remake. Here's a bit of a mild spoiler warning for Chapter 18, but I'm going to try not to go into too many details. At the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, the game veers off significantly from the original plot of the 1997 game. This leaves the future of the remake, if you can really even call it that, very up in the air. Not only do we not know how many parts this version of the Final Fantasy VII story will take, but we don't know if any of what is coming will follow any of the original game anymore. We've got a video talking about the remake's ending as well as my review of it if you want to check those out for yourself. Also in the Famitsu interview, producer Yoshinori Kitase said, "The new story of Final Fantasy VII has only just begun." That suggests to me that whatever comes next, there's still a lot more new stuff to come. Taking one of gaming's most beloved franchises and remaking it is challenging enough, but taking it a step further and completely changing it is certainly a bold choice, even if it may prove to be a stupid one, though I think the jury's still out on that one. Other tidbits in the Famitsu interview include comments about a certain Madam M sequence, you know the one I mean, that had to be cut short to avoid getting a higher age rating. Infer from that whatever you please.
Now take it like a man!
One scene that was in the original game but cut for the remake was a brief visit to Avalanche's hideout beneath 7th Heaven, but this was removed to add distance to the relationship between Cloud and Avalanche, which does kinda make sense, but it's a shame we didn't get to see it anyway. One notable addition was the brand new character Roach, a fellow soldier like Cloud who likes to do more than just ride his motorcycles, but he was surprisingly absent despite being featured prominently in some of the marketing. Supposedly, he was meant to reappear around Chapter 14, which sees the party explore more of the slums and sewers as they plan to save Aerith. Co-director Motomu Toriyama said that Roach has a high chance of showing up in the next installment. I honestly can't decide if I can't wait to see more of that idiot or if I just want him to have never existed at all. Square Enix is meant to be already working on the next part of Final Fantasy VII Remake, although who even knows if that's what it's gonna be called yet. In E3's absence, Square is meant to be unveiling any trailers for new games it had planned throughout July and August, so maybe we'll see Final Fantasy soon? But to be honest, I think that's about as likely as Jesse talking to Cloud without begging for his big old sword.
I might be falling after all. Psych?
Either way though, I absolutely love the first part, so I'm really excited to see more whenever that may be. And next up, talking about video games can often lead to very heated debates, but if there's one thing we can all agree on, it's that Ghost of Tsushima is damn gorgeous. Walking across rich fields soaked in deep saturated colours has been one of my favourite gaming experiences this year, and that's before you even get to the stabbing. The island itself is as much of a character as Jin Sakai or Khoten Khan, but I'm not the only one who's been enjoying touring through Tsushima Island virtually, as the official tourist board for Tsushima has teamed teamed up with the game to help sell the island to potential visitors. The tourist page for the Nagasaki prefecture, which Tsushima Island is a part of, now has a section of its website dedicated to the game. The site provides some of the real historical information the game is based on, such as the Komodo Beach invasion and the ensuing Battle of Bunei. It also shares some of the real-world locations that Jin Sakai can visit in-game, including the ruins of the Kanada Fortress and the Banshuin Temple, along with many other locations perfect for composing a haiku. The folks behind the site are clearly interested in advertising Tsushima to the West because it's actually written in English, not Japanese. But more importantly, they're not solely relying on the game to promote the island, as the site also lists some of the food Tsushima is famous for, such as the iriyaki hot pot or conger eels. Forget about the game and the beautiful scenery, that iriyaki hot pot looks incredible. But if the food isn't enough to get you over there, Tsushima also offers other activities like hiking across Mount Shirataki or kayaking across lakes and around the island. Open world games get a lot of flack these days, and plenty of it is well deserved, but Ghost of Tsushima is one of the most beautifully realized open worlds ever made, even if it does have a bit of fluff here and there. It's awesome to see that the game may help people to visit the actual island itself, though hopefully it's not covered in Mongolian blood or bears who will one-shot you while you play the flute. Days Gone is another game that actually made me want to visit the area it's based on, although ideally the real-world version of Oregon won't be full of freaker hordes and blown-up roads. But according to Google, a round trip from my nearest airport to Tsushima Island will cost around £4,000, so maybe that trip's gonna go on hold for a while. I'll just stick to Sucker Punch's version for now. Have you visited any areas that were then made into video games? For all their faults, Assassin's Creed games, generally speaking, have great worlds if you want a snapshot of history, although I think if you live in New York, you have a bit of an unfair advantage. Although I know if I actually lived in Manhattan, I'd spend the whole of Spider-Man trying to find my house. And on the topic of Spider-Man and open world games set in New York, the city may look better than ever before later on this year. As the current console generation draws to a close, all eyes are on what comes next for Microsoft and Sony, and whatever nonsense Nintendo comes out with. Both the Xbox Series X and the PS5 have been officially unveiled, but now we're just waiting for the one thing that actually really matters: the games. A handful of games have been confirmed for each platform, but we're yet to see how they run on these new systems in real time. Insomniac's Spider-Man Miles Morales game will apparently run at 60 FPS at 4K resolution through an optional performance mode on the PS5. Now, PC players have been indulging in these luxuries for years now, but it's still funny to watch console scrubs, like myself, get bent out of shape screaming at each other about it on Twitter. 60 FPS and 4K visuals is largely assumed to be the standard going forward for the next generation, but it's good to see that it's actually confirmed for swinging around New York. Web swinging, of course, and not the other kind. Miles is a good boy who gets his homework done on time, obviously. Spider-Man Miles Morales is set to launch this holiday season exclusively on the PS5 as an expansion of sorts to Peter Parker's Spider-Man adventure on PS4. And that's your lot for today. If you enjoyed this no shit format, go ahead and give the video a like to give it a boost, hit subscribe and the bell if you want to stay up to date on all future installments. Toss a coin to your YouTuber over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. That's all for today. I've been Henry Cooper. Bye for now.